Bow. Pop0 here once again, and today I'm joined by Billy and Ludwig. And as the triple threat team, we shall collectively speak on this build. I'll start off with how this build came about. Believe it or not, all three of us had the same exact dream. In it, we saw a man, nay, a hero, holding his own against a colossus who wielded a gigantic two-handed mace. The young lad gripped his bow tightly as he looked back at his near-empty quiver. Alas, only one arrow remained. Turning his head back and narrowing his vision on the monstrous giant who still stood tall, even though he was pierced with arrows from head to toe. The hero knew that one more arrow in the giant's tibia would not do the trick. He would need a miracle. Sweat dribble ran down his forehead as he reached for that last arrow of hope. Running out of options, he took what would be his last shot. Doing so triggered the giant to leap forward while swinging his mace towards the lad. Hesitation was smeared across the hero's face, but he did not falter. Half a second into his aim, he noticed an enemy totem just behind the big brute. Aiming true and finally releasing that fateful arrow, while simultaneously dodging the attack wasn't easy, but he pulled it off. He landed on his back and rolled over as he watched the arrow pierce the totem's left knee. The totem was not pleased. In fact, it was immediately enraged and started to detonate dead all of the corpses near the two adversaries. Luckily, the young man was too far away from any of the corpses on the battlefield, and the giant took the brunt of the explosions. Near the end, when all of the corpses were gone and the colossus was no more, the hero stood up and winked at the totem. Its expression went from berserker to utter defeat as it failed to take revenge and had no more power moves to make. The only thing it could do was to lay down in fetal position and wait for more corpses to appear. And so goes the legend of Slayer Bentley and the nearly kneelless totem. And thusly, this is how this build was born. Well, this dream, but also the build I made like 4 years ago, the old POB down below can be found. What are you, Yoda? Anyways, here's Billy with the offense. All right, I got this. Number 1, detonate dead of chain reaction. Number 2, detonate dead of scavenging. Number 3, detonate dead regular kind. Need I say more? Oh, I do. Okay, Ludwig, do you mind? Go ahead. Yeah, Ludwig. All right, thank you. All right. See you guys later. Yeah. All right, this build started off with just barrage of volley fire and the DD of chain reaction in the bow that has the cast on crit support explicit modifier, as you can see. That was the main setup for a while, and it works very well, but we wanted more explosions. Hence, we decided to add the other two DDs. While experimenting with the second DD setup, we knew it was going to be linked to manaforged arrow support gem, and turns out level 1 rain of arrows of saturation works the best. So we linked the cast on crit support gem to it along with the DD of scavenging. That way it's not the first DD to activate because our own corpses won't work on it, and it needs to have an enemy's corpse already in place. And by using our main skill barrage, we trigger the rain of arrows, which then casts on crit the DD. For our last setup, we have a regular DD in Asenath's Mark Helm, where we trigger it by, again, just attacking with barrage. This one may seem like it doesn't do much or maybe an overkill, but you could clear just with the setup alone, as seen in this small clip. And it actually has saved me before. It is very rare, but there have been a couple of times where I didn't crit with either the barrage or the rain of arrows, and my regular DD triggered, killing the enemies that were going to get me. That's it for the 3 setups and the reasoning behind them. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Now, forget about the story earlier, the dream, whatever. I made this build only because one item and one item alone that I got for 2 divines. Yes, the bow. 2 divines. Are you japing me right now? Of course, I had to make a build around it. It's crazy. 2 divines, they were giving it away. All right. I did spend about 40 divines total on this build, but 15 of it was for the Watcher's Eye jewel, and 4 divines were spent on the large cluster jewel, both of which are not important. Everything else was just 1 divine here, 1 divine there, and it just kind of added up to 40. None of it is super crucial though. For quiver, basic defensive one with accuracy and some resistances. Ring that gives me accuracy and resistances. Ring base that we bought for 2 divines and then rolled with essence. Surge binders because we went for the max endurance charges equal to frenzy charges equal to power charges. Very cool mechanic. Graven's secret for defensive purposes along with routing to divine shield node here. But Arn's Anguish could be used for some massive DPS increasage. You would have to find a way to generate them brutal charges though. Relicish boots so we can have all 4 charge types. I know that the increased quality on the bow is wasted because of the Overwhelm Slayer Ascendancy, but I was going back and forth testing Brutal Fervor, and honestly they're both very good. If my crit was capped, I think Brutal Fervor all the way, but it's not, so yeah. Also note that you don't really need the gain 2 mana per enemy hit with attacks jewel, but on bosses and in certain situations it helps, so I run one. But experiment. You may need 1, you may need 0, you may need 2. Only you can answer that question. Answer that question. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time with another beautiful build.